We're Batman at 89. Greetings, citizens of Gotham. Welcome to Batminute 89, the show where we talk and don't mime our way through Tim Burton's Batman 1 minute at a time. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
Don't you mean 1 minute at a mime?
Oh, you'd think we'd planned that, but we didn't. We're not that smart.
I'm the other host, Niall McGowan.
Yes, hello, Niall.
Yeah, hello, John.
Yeah, and we are joined today, once again, on this lovely, lovely Wednesday, by Sean German of Spinal Tap Minute and also 5 minutes of Mime.
Yes, 5 minutes of Mime. Aloha, gentlemen, and thank you for having me.
The minute starts with Vicki still in hot pursuit of Bruce, and it ends with the Joker, in disguise, saying that he saw something. We don't know what it is yet. Could be anything.
Is it a disguise? Like, it's just more of it's a random... Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
It's kind of... I say it's a disguise. He's trying to blend in with the miming crowd, but we'll get to that. Yeah.
I thought for a second you were going to say trying to blend in with the crowd. It's like,
with the crowd.
The crowd. He is not at all.
It's not too dissimilar from my attempts to blend in, to be honest. But yes, as the minute starts here, we are back at City Hall as Vicki arrives, hot on Bruce's trail, still donning the lovely bonnet.
But we've got so much material out of that damn hat. But
maybe we should do Batminute branded hats.
Exactly. Everyone has to wear these things. Like, if it's not consuming half your head, then you're not wearing it, right?
That's got to be the name of the episode right there.
But again, we get a little snippet of Vicki. She's got the camera still dangling around her neck. So again, if she's trying to hide the fact that she's pursuing someone and taking photos of them, having the camera dangling around your neck's probably a bad option right there.
Well, I thought as well she looked totally bemused as to what was going on. Because she's a photographer. She probably feels like she should know what's going on. If there's a big event, like what's happening? Yeah. I should know this. But she's been too distracted with a certain Mr. Wayne, ruining her career.
Because her partner, Knox, obviously knows that this thing was going down. And I wonder if... Did Bruce know that this was going down? You know, was he? I'm going downtown to check out the big gangster affidavit signing, and while I'm in the neighborhood, I'll drop off some wilty, sad looking roses, and Criminal Lane or Criminal Alley, or was he was he visiting his little memorial and dropping the roses, and then just happened upon this crowd?
I think this is all like it's only happens. Like, it's only been announced that this is happening like this morning, because again that would kind of be like, that's why Knox is like, he's saying like, oh, I can't wait to hear their excuse for this one. Like, it's all like, this is just they were literally went into work and it's like, there's something happening down in the courthouse. You guys need to get down there straight away. And then that would be why Vicky's just like, what's happening here? And
well, you'd think she'd have a pager. It's the 80s, and she's a high profile journalist.
Yeah, but. And then one thing I did discover, because we speculated on this last Friday's episode, but I did actually get confirmation that because we're like, well, why is Bruce gone to leave the flowers this day? Is this like, is it an anniversary, or is it like, does he do this once a week, or what? All this kind of stuff. Apparently, it is in the notes that this is October 25th, and this is the anniversary of when his parents were shot. So he was going down to town anyway. He would have been there. And then it seems like more like he's just more like, yeah, what's happened here? This is a thing.
Yeah. What's all the hubbub over at City Hall? Huh?
Yeah, I love your idea, Sean, but the look on his face seems to be much like Vicki, like, what the hell is all this?
Yeah. Now, you mentioned, John, that this is the 80s.
Yeah. Ah, well, that isn't... I know what you're going to say. Is it the 80s?
Yes. Well, because, and I was thinking this kind of reaching back to the last minute, we see, and in the beginning of this minute, I think is more, for last minute, I was thinking you see the outfits, all the gentlemen are wearing hats, which is more of an old timey thing. We didn't wear, not fedoras, not those kind of hats in the 80s, but all the photographers and the little grouping of the press groupies that are behind Knox have very old-fashioned looking cameras with like these large flash bulbs. And yet Knox has got a pretty modern recorder. I mean, it fits in his hand, and we presume it's recording audio. And then you also see that here in the beginning. You look at Vicki's camera, which is modern, contemporary with the 1980s. Why don't any of the other photographers have this kind of modern gear? There's a dichotomy. There's some modern elements, but there's some things that are not of the 80s, I would say.
I love that whole combination of styles and aesthetics and looks. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting combination. You don't really see that very often.
No.
Yeah. But it is to nice effect because it throws myself, at least speaking for myself as a viewer, it throws me off a little bit to kind of take me out of time, which is what a movie like this is trying to do. It's a bit of fantasy, so you have to have a little belief in things that you don't see every day, and so making it somewhat modern, somewhat realistic, but off enough to believe, or to just to put yourself in that different place to believe the impossible can happen. Opens the door for magic.
Yeah, it's like a much more romanticized little slant that took there towards the end.
Well, then we cut to Bruce as a pretty creepy mime starts prancing around behind him.
Oh yes,
he's unsettling me.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever actually in person seen a mime. I'll be honest. So maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, what we get in like the UK about mimes is that they seem to be prevalent in America, and no one likes them for some reason. That always seems to be the thing. It's like, yeah, people don't like mimes because it's even like Die Hard with a Vengeance when it's all like, McClane's speeding through the park and it's like, are you trying to hit these people? No. Well, maybe that mime. It's like, I was like,
what is it? Why do people hate them?
I think it's jealousy. I think they're challenged. Their stage framework, the worldview that they've built, and the comfort that they hide themselves in is being challenged by the artistry and the imagination, and they're frightened, quite frankly, and maybe a little bit intimidated is probably what it is.
It's just like when we said that the frightened is, maybe it's because it's with it's the fact that it is you, Sean, but my mind instantly went to Nigel and Spinal Tap going and they run screaming into the. So we got armadillos in our trousers.
In our trousers, yeah.
Well, this mime pats this kid on the head who's stood there.
This kid.
And I'm going to get into the kid definitely because this kid. Oh Jesus! But I don't think these days you'd be allowed to just go patting children on the head in the UK. I think you'd be in trouble. You're not even allowed to look at a child, basically, or you've got to sign some forms to go within 10 feet of them.
I'm wondering as well because like I've got this freeze frame now on this image of like Bruce and the mime, and it seems as if every extra there was unaware that they were filming because it's like they're all kind of staring at the camera. It's like no one knew that day. It's like, and then this kid was obviously, it's as if they literally went like, "Hey kid, you want to be in a film?" And this literally did this like and she had no preparation time. And then the person next to her, I think it's her dad. You can't quite make out if it's male. He's got a very it's a very kind of a weird hat, and it's like a kind of a bowler, but it looks more like a lady's hat. But
sort of a man with a lady's hat and earrings. But then he/she leans in is like, "Oh, you're going to be in a movie."
Yeah, that probably is what happened.
And I will say it probably won't work in motion, but as the freeze frame of that mother/father looks loads like Patrick Wilson. So it's like, oh my God, Patrick Wilson was in Batman.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. Little known trivia.
Wait, though, this kid, right? What do you think they dressed him like this, or he turned up like this? Because that's a weird outfit for a child of that age.
You say he? It's a girl, isn't it? It's because he's got a girl. He's got a ponytail. Yeah.
Okay, that's even more startling because I can't work out the gender of this child, the sex.
Well, it could be like a boy with but it's a very effeminate looking ponytail.
Okay, let's just say the child. The child.
The child.
Why is the child dressed like a fighter pilot? Or like, George Bush when he's trying to look like a man of action.
Yeah.
Well, and things like that,
This is actually, it's a good segue into, because it reminded me of specifically this look of a character in a TV show that the mime features in. He looks.
Oh! I know exactly what you're going to say now.
Yeah.
I didn't think of this.
It looks like it's dressed. I'm certain it's a girl. It looks like she's dressed like Lister from Red Dwarf. Like that's something he would wear. And even her ponytail is kind of like his when he had the dreads and stuff in the back. It kind of looks a bit. It's the same kind of effect. But then this is our segue now. It's kind of like, well, this mime is a guy people know. Like he's actually as a relatively not famous, but he is a known actor. This is Mac McDonald, and he's obviously the biggest thing that ties him in is that he's the captain of the Red Dwarf in the TV show Red Dwarf. And I think he features in like a first episode, and then spoilers for the show, they all die except Lister and the cat, and then just seasons later I think he was brought back, but Mac's been in.
Well, you get quite a few in the first series at least. Maybe the second one, you get quite a few flashbacks.
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah.
Video clips, and he features in them quite heavily. He's in quite a few other movies as well, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's most prominently. He's another. Because we said like, well, Axis Chemicals was in Aliens. There's some sound effects from Aliens we're thinking that they swiped for this film, and now this guy, he was the guy in charge of the what do you call it, the terraforming plant. The place they have to go to in Aliens, like it's
Hadley's Hope.
Yeah, he's the guy who's like only features in like one scene. I can't even actually, because it's been so long since I've seen like the not director's cut of Aliens that I can't remember if maybe his scene wasn't even in the original film, but he's definitely in the director's cut anyway. But
yeah, I think the last time I saw the theatrical cut would have probably been on VHS. Like, as soon as that DVD came out. I mean, I do it the other way, though. Alien, I watched the theatrical cut. But Aliens, director's cut.
Yeah, but it is one of those ones of like, well, it's the same with Lord of the Rings. It's just like, well, you got this bigger version with more stuff in it. It's like, why would you watch the other one? But it doesn't work for every film, because some films, the director's cuts, are terrible. But
well, Donnie Darko.
Yeah, that's the one I was
the only one I've seen is the director's cut.
But he's in a good few things. He's in his first credit is apparently he played a rebel pilot in The Empire Strikes Back. Yes, and that's so he would have been potentially he knew Porkins before.
Oh yeah. Well, there is a connection there, yeah, because we've had two people.
Yeah, got Biggs. He could have been pals with Biggs. We never know. But he's one of the few ones I've seen because he's literally just called Rebel Pilot. You usually think that like they've all got names and backstories in Wikipedia, but I don't think he does. So
well, I mean, those two did die in the first one, though.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's a connection from a filmmaking standpoint.
But oh yeah, I mean, like it could have been like that's why like when the Empire shows up on, presumably I'm assuming it's Hoth is where you see him, but like he could have been like, this is for Biggs and for Porkins.
Yeah, they could have been close. Well, do you know if he? Sorry, have you finished? Actually, I don't want to interrupt you with your.
No. Just other things he's in was Top Secret, which is a very underrated spoof film.
Yeah, with Val Kilmer.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Batman.
I was going to say there's a connection to Batman there. Yeah.
He's also in Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, which is
Yay.
and just like a bunch of stuff like Young Indiana Jones Chronicles and episodes of like French and Saunders and stuff like that. But I think most people will be like, oh, it's the but most people will be like, oh yeah, it's the captain from Captain Hollister from Red Dwarf. So
if you're listening and you haven't watched Red Dwarf, the British sitcom. A sitcom? Do you want to call it a sitcom? It's not really a sitcom, is it? I don't know what you call it. It's a comedy, a space-based comedy.
They're in a situation, and
okay.
comedic things happen. So,
well, definitely check it out because it's amazing. It's fantastic, and the star is from Liverpool, so that just makes it extra good. And he's actually from Liverpool, unlike.
Oh, it's like the character is unashamedly Scouse. Like they're not even trying to hide it. Like it's not like friendly Beatles Scouse. It's like it's deep dark scouse. Like it's
Yeah.
but
Like that. Lots of harsh sound. But do you know if this guy is actually trained in mime? Because this was a question I had. Is his miming, is it good? Or as the director, as Tim Burton just gone, you just pretend like you're miming?
Well, I actually do have quite a bit of info, because yeah, might as well just get into it now, because Mac McDonald did quite a large, extensive interview about his work on Batman, and it's really worth a read. Like, I'll go through. I'm actually going to save some of the stuff for later on in the film, because it goes into like his experiences with Kim Basinger and some stuff she did and all this good stuff. But yeah, he's apparently he was hired on the strength of his improv skills, because he came in and he'd auditioned and he just did loads of improv, and he actually gives a real eye opener to like what the production was like, because he starts off saying like we met with Tim Burton, and apparently said like Tim Burton at the beginning was just great. He was just like, oh, he's so, because he was just all into, like, he was enthusiastic about improv. He's like, you're gonna be working with Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson loves the improv. This is gonna be amazing. We're gonna do some really weird dark stuff in this film. It's like, it'll be great. And then he got there, and like he met the other goons, and it was going terrific for a bit. And then apparently he says it went on, though, they started to feel like there was a tension on the set, because it turns out like it became then that the producers wanted to make one kind of a film, and Tim wanted to make a completely different kind of film. And they said like his quote was like he wanted to make a really quirky dark movie, and the producers wanted to make it like a crash bang wallop action pick. But and then he talks about they said then like it became like there was less improv and more like go stand on your mark and point your gun that direction, and yada 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 kind of thing. But he says then as well like that he has a really weird story about meeting Jack Nicholson, because again he was told like, oh, there's a guy coming, it's like, I'm gonna be working with Jack Nicholson, this is gonna be amazing. And because everyone told him like Jack's really friendly and he's all into improv, and you're gonna love him. And then apparently he said like, yeah, the first day in set, like all the goons got together, and Jack came out, and he apparently came out in the Joker regalia, and walked up and down, and he just kind of went like, yep, very good, and walked away. And then later on, Mac was kind of milling about in set, and he saw Jack was just sitting there by himself, and he's like, if I don't say something to him now, I'll never get I'll regret it the rest of my life. So apparently he went up to him and said, oh, hi Jack, my name's Mac, I'm going to be gooning with you for like 6 weeks. And apparently Jack Nicholson didn't look at him, and then he said, the way it's written, he says goon on Mac. And then he never spoke to him again. And apparently he spoke to all the other extras, he spoke to all the other goons. And then apparently afterwards someone was like, that's a Hollywood rule, you don't approach the stars. Like, you don't go over and introduce yourself.
Oh, come on.
Apparently it's like, no, if they introduce themselves to you, great, but you don't do it the other way around. And that's really disappointing to find that out about Jack Nicholson. It's like,
yeah. I mean, I can imagine it though, to be honest. It's upsetting me, but if anyone would be like that.
Yeah. No, it's not like, I always remember hearing that Jack Nicholson apparently makes a point of like when people encounter him in the street, he makes an effort to be like the nicest he can be, because he said in interviews like, oh, I want people to have a good memory of like they've met Jack Nicholson. I want them to think well of me. The only thing I've heard contrary to that, but then even this, it does kind of affirm it as well, is that at one point he got into some sort of car accident with a guy. I think it was like a minor rear ending, and he flipped out and went out and like took out his golf clubs and smashed the guy's windscreen. But apparently then after that, like he did contact the guy and was like, I'm sorry, I was in a very bad mood that day. I'm so sorry. I'll pay for absolutely everything. Please don't think that that's the kind of person I am and stuff. But now this Mac McDonald story's out there. It's just like, I don't know, man. This is Jack Nicholson.
I don't know what to believe.
I don't know what to believe. Oh, yes. We've got to like sync that up 100%.
But yeah, and then because we were saying that Ozzy ties back into the really awkward extra who's just beaming at the camera the whole time, and it's just like, I'm in a movie, and it's like, but I'm in a movie and I'm dressed like Lister from Red Dwarf for some reason.
Well, Sean, actually, yeah, we didn't get to ask you there. Is his miming good? Is it top notch?
Well, like not just him, all the miming. Like what's
I'm not impressed, I will say, and a little bit confused.
Oh.
This is one of the things like when we asked, like, does this guy have mime training? You're like, if you knew a damn thing about miming, you would tell a mile away that those guys don't have any miming training.
Well, as someone who doesn't know anything about miming, I got the impression that they don't know much about miming either. Maybe more than me.
Well,
it's like a cartoon of mime.
He may be someone, maybe the actor, Mac McDonald, has formal training and knows a bit of mime, but he's playing a goon who doesn't know anything about mime. And in that case, I think he's doing an excellent job of acting like someone that doesn't know mime.
Well, actually, that raises an interesting question, though. The Joker's goons, were these ones now already his goons, and he's made them do things like this to be weird and kooky, or did he go and get some mimes to join his gang? Like that's. I
think we speculated on it before. Like, well, we landed on this was his old biker gang from the '60s or something. I think I was
but
where we last landed on that. But
it's an interesting way of looking at it. It could be either, but I suppose if we accept that maybe they're not mimes, that they are just gangsters, and he's got them to do this weird thing, that would make sense that they don't really know what they're doing.
I think it's more like he's like it actually gets explained in The Dark Knight when they say that, like, he attracts a certain type of criminal. Like he's when it's David the Smallshin, the actor, when he's the guy who is dressed up as a cop when he gets taken by Harvey Dent and he's doing the coin flip and all that sort of stuff. And then Batman there is just like, his name's whatever. And he's a paranoid schizophrenic, the type of sick mind the Joker attracts. It's kind of like, this could be, it's like, he's put out the word. It's like, I want criminals, but I don't want, like, not the lower tier gangsters. I want, like, people who are going to be up for doing some crazy stuff, you know?
Some weird stuff.
So I wonder what's the difference between, these guys are goons. What separates the goons from the Napier Hoods? They're like an entirely different group altogether.
I think it's more that, like, these guys could be just like, he's picked up some psychos off the streets. And the Napier Hoods were more like, they were like your Henry Hill type gangsters, like people who are slowly making their way up. They're foot soldiers, but they're making their way up the ladder, and they've got plans for the future, and they take themselves seriously and whatnot. But this is just like, you could run into these guys in the dark alley, and they'll just do anything because they're just nuts, like that kind of thing.
They're just crazy,
yeah.
And they're just miming all over this because this guy is doing a little bit of robotic movement, but then later there's a mime who's doing like a speed skating thing, and then suddenly hits the wall. Like, I think that's like they just know, like, mimes, there must be a wall somewhere. I mean, this guy's kind of doing a Tin Man or a robotic man, and then he hits a wall. And he starts doing the, like, invisible wall thing. And then the other guy is, like, skating, doing, like, a speed skating thing. And then suddenly he hits a wall. There's a second guy that kind of passes in front of Bruce Wayne, and he's doing the invisible wall thing. They just know, it's, if there's a mime, there's a wall nearby. It seems what they know.
That's like if I wrote something about a mime, that's what I would put in, because I don't know. But you'd think they could have just asked someone. I do
like the intro of the second mime, like when we notice that there's more than one, because this first guy who's a bit like, the Mac McDonald one. I was like, it's weird, and the music's got this, dun, 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 dun. It's like, something's happening, and then it's literally he disappears, and then this other guy appears, and he just gives Bruce this little wave. And it's like a little like a little tingle of the fingers.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, this is strange now. This is why are these mimes all suddenly appeared? Yeah. And Bruce has a very noticeably like, what's this?
He's like, if it weren't for all these photographers, I'd kick your ass just on principle. You have to bleep
he is
that out.
Not amused.
Kick your bleep.
You'd be disturbed to know too, Sean, in the original script. It's quite a different scene. It's like there's none of this going to crime alley business. It's Bruce and Vicki are just out and about. He's not hiding anything from her. Well, beyond being Batman, obviously. But and apparently then they notice the mimes, and she says all mimes should be executed, which is like,
that's
like homicide. Come on, Vicki, Jesus.
Painting with a broad brush. Come on.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're trying to make a living, but I don't think there's no. Despite what Billy Crystal says, there is no mime is not money. I don't think. Well, unless you've made it, you're sitting in like a pristine palace and built entirely off miming, John.
Yeah, that mime empire. But we do know something is afoot, as you mentioned, the piano and the music, the score has become very very heisty. You know, there's a heist.
Oh,
there's some plan in motion, as keyed in by the music at this point.
Okay, it starts off kind of playful, and then it does change into, in conjunction with extra mimes showing up, it changes quite creepy. It's a weird scene because it starts off quite nice and light, and all of a sudden it gets very scary. It's almost like the birds or something.
Yeah. So one mime is that's playful little street performer doing a little pantomime, and then then there's two. And then there's three, and then there's I'm in a Hitchcock film all of a sudden.
Yeah. I'm assuming like this mime is like, because it was passing beyond that little girl. A lot of these actions are pretty bad, because even then when we get our established shot of Bob hiding behind this pillar.
Yes,
I love that shot.
But there's some shots of extras in the background. They're all kind of like, hey, they're just like they're excited to be in a film as well. Yeah. But I think they're kind of using this like, they're excited that the mimes are there. It's like, hey, look, kids, there's some mimes. And it's it could have been like what they were like, this will be a handy cover.
I do love that shot of Bob though, because I found that just hilarious.
He just ducks out.
He peep.
And
peeping out from his little hiding spot behind the pillar, because it's like a cartoon, because he's a very distinctive looking man. You would spot
again,
that
too, wearing his Joker jacket. So it's like one of the most noticeable pieces of clothing you could imagine.
But interesting the layers here. So Bob is following Vicki, and Vicki is following Bruce at this point. Although she's in the crowd, she's actually lost. She's completely forgotten about Bruce, and she's kind of stepping up to City Hall, to the steps to see what's going on. Going back to the comment I made earlier, or last minute, about her she's not a good follower. She's kind of given up the tale, and now is going after the story instead of Bruce. But Bob, I feel like Bob would be more inconspicuous if he just stood there.
Yeah,
because this is a public space. There's people all about. If he just stood around taking pictures like all these photographers, and Vicky's got her camera, then he'd be fine. But no, he's the suspicious guy who's kind of hiding behind this pillar.
Yeah,
that the fact that he's hiding makes him more, stand out more.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it was like, how did he get behind this pillar as well? Where did he come from? Because it seems like, was he there? Because there's nothing. Like, that's literally a wall behind the pillar as well. So he's going to have to have nipped over to it and then ducked behind and then stuck his head out again and stuff. Again, it would have been worth, because Vicky has no idea who Bob is. If he was just walking about, it would have been like, there's a guy. Who, what do you care? But
I mean, the only people who might are the mobsters.
Oh,
really? Yeah. And they're probably not paying any attention though to.
Well, I guess but Bob might be. Well, we'll have to get to this, when we actually see the pictures he's taken. But he gets some good bloody pictures of Vicki and Knox and stuff.
Yeah, his talents are wasted with Joker.
Could have been like, because we know Jack Napier had an aptitude for art. It could be maybe that's how he knows Bob. It's like, I met in an art class, and but
they went to art school together.
Yeah. Could be, totally.
No, I think they definitely met on the streets.
You think so?
Streets.
Well, there's more questions that we'll get to it when the relevant minute pops up. But I do wonder how far back the Jack and Bob tale goes. Because that's for a future minute, that one. But no, I was just gonna say to Sean, are you I'll tell you from your enthusiasm there that you're a Bob fan, then, that you're, because we're all about Bob and in this show, so it's always quite happy when someone else comes up who also shares our enthusiasm for the man. So.
Yeah, I do want to know more about Bob. I kind of want to see that origin tale of how are they foes on the sort of opposite sides of a gang rivalry, and then they come together. Maybe it's a bit of a not necessarily like a Batman versus Superman, but maybe more of like a Guardians of the Galaxy type tale where they're bad guys apart, and then by the end they're bad guys together. But
sounds
well,
sweet.
it's interesting, to me at least, someone like Jack Napier who's not, I don't get the impression he's the trusting type. He doesn't let a lot of people in. He's very guarded, but he seems close to Bob. Somehow Bob has wiggled his way in past all those defenses and found his way into Jack's heart. Huh.
Yeah, I am surprised that there aren't, more things trying to explore that story, because that is a very interesting one to come out of this film.
Yeah,
pretty much.
You can see this would be like a classic, like a Lethal Weapon or a Midnight Run situation of like, they didn't get on at first, but throughout the course of the film, they become the best of friends. It's like...
But which one would be which in the Lethal Weapon setup? That's what I want to know.
I can imagine that. That's no. I think Jack would be. He'd be Riggs. He's
Riggs,
crazy.
yeah.
He's crazy.
Of course,
yeah.
Well, I think maybe
it writes itself.
Maybe it's more of a sort of a David and Nigel tale, where they maybe they grew up together and then sometimes they break apart. Just they're too much alike and they get too close and. They fight and they separate, but then in the end they realize, you can't have one without the other.
Yeah, it could be like have been like a really nice scene of Jack just talking about Bob's like, oh, we're closer than brothers because brothers are always fighting and stuff.
So once again, listeners, if you want to write this story, if you want to draw it, get it done. Yeah. Get on it now.
Yeah. But on with a minute, I suppose.
Oh, yeah, because in the minute, the mobsters here, they insist that their acquisition of Grisham's businesses is legitimate. But Knox, he's not buying that story at all, is he? He's being quite confident and cocky for Knox. He's basically telling them to their face that they're lying.
I guess because Knox he doesn't seem to have any kind of sense of self-preservation. Like, he's always throwing himself in willy-nilly. Because when he was talking to Eckhart earlier, he knew that Eckhart hated him. Yeah. And he was still just like, I'm just going to pester him. And I know he's going to give me any information, but I'm going to keep pestering him anyway. And this is, it's pretty much just like, yep, I know what these people are. And, they potentially know me and they know I'm the press and they know that I'm their enemy. But I'm still going to, tease them and flat out accusing them of, like doing this, like, oh, you can prove this. Oh, what am I saying? Of course you can. Like, really sarcastically and stuff.
He's making them look like chumps and they're doing nothing.
Yeah. But, because again, though, because we're on this business now of like, they're talking about all this boring stuff and it's like, oh, affidavits and blah, 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 blah. And it's all like, oh, things in Gotham are about to change like pretty drastically here, like in the next minute. But, because then we also like, but I do like, I'm assuming this is like an old, like, press people saying, because I do like his little, like, I smell fresh ink, guys. It's just like, it seems like there was a bit of research done there. It's like, this is what reporters say, because when like a news story is hitting kind of thing. So
I got the impression, this might just be me thinking of it differently. I thought that line meant he smells fresh ink, as in those contracts have just been signed.
Oh,
like suspiciously, like that's just been done this morning. That's not above board.
Yeah.
Kind of
oh, that actually makes like a lot of sense as well. Like I was just like, oh no, it just means that this is a story we're gonna get. This is gonna be a big thing. We could get right.
Well, it could be that too. Like it could be like this is we're running with this tomorrow.
Yeah. But even like, if he is saying like I smell fresh ink, meaning like you've just drew these things up there now. Like there's none. Like this is all weird and suspicious. That's don't say that in front of him as well. It's like, well, this reporter is blatantly onto us, so we better take care of him.
I'm pretty sure you're not legally allowed to just accuse people of these things.
Well, aside from the legality, it's just not safe. These are they're gangsters. They're dangerous guys. And Knox is very sassy. I could see with maybe like if you're interviewing a professional athlete or an actor or someone in the entertainment business, there's sort of a love-hate relationship where you can push them and they'll hopefully realize, well, I need the press, I need the coverage and publicity so people will come to my sporting event or buy tickets to my movie or whatever. There's a symbiotic relationship with the press at that point. But these gangsters, they can do their gangster thing without the press. They don't need Knox at all. There's no reason for them to humor him, and yet he's pretty sassy. He's confident. Yeah.
Yeah, if anything, they want rid of him. Surely.
It could be like why Knox never appeared again after this film. It's like, oh, he got himself killed. Like it's like he was asking for it. Like it's called like, and even like Bruce Wayne's just like, oh, I mean, What do you think? What do you think was going to happen?
I would have liked a little side story where they maybe come for Knox and Batman has to rescue him.
Yeah, but that's the thing that Batman really like.
Reluctantly saves him. That'd be great.
Yeah, because then we get this business end of like questioning the legitimacy, and then like suddenly a wild Joker appears at the side, like waving to the crowd, card. And he does his, it's wild card, jumps out the back of a van.
No, I was most impressed that you got a Pokemon reference into this podcast.
It's like I'll get a reference to everything, John, if I can. But although I think that this may be the first episode we've not made a Simpsons reference. It's like, what the hell?
Or a Twin Peaks reference.
Yeah.
What's going on?
But I will know as well before we get into like what the Joker's outfit here. It's a bad case of an extra being too noticeable, because you see next to when Bruce was over, in his beside the car, like, and the mimes are coming past. There's an old woman with this hat that looks like it's kind of like it's really weirdly attached to like the side of her head rather than the top. It's one of those old, like, it's like the kind of artist hat that the Joker himself wears later, but it's even more severely tilted. And she's behind Bruce Wayne, and then now she's beside the Joker. And it's like, this is obviously, it's the same extras, you just move them about. But it's just because that hat is so noticeable. That is very noticeable. This is the same extra. So
that could have just been of the style at the time. It was all the rage in Gotham.
And they had an onion. She had an onion tied to her belt, which was the style at the time. Got one in. They got one in.
Done it.
But and then we got the Joker's announcement of it is legitimate, and then we get cut off there.
How does he know?
Well, he says one other thing, doesn't he?
Yeah. But he says, I saw it, and then we're gonna cut away. But
no, he says I saw.
Oh yeah.
We don't know what he saw. What did he see? He could have seen anything.
Should we get into? I think like maybe I'll leave the Joker's outfit to them, because he's wearing this. This is an outfit we don't see him in anywhere else in any iteration of the character, except. Although, it is kind of very similar to the cover art of what's it here? Jim Apato's cover art for Batman 429, which was out in January of 1989, so it's unlikely that it's a reference. It's probably filmed well before that. But it's from the Death in the Family story arc. And the Joker does have his top hat and tails and stuff, and wearing a monocle and stuff like that. But
I did see a Lego figure of this, and I got really excited. I was like, oh my God, they've made one. But when I looked into it, it was one of those custom Lego characters. Yeah.
But I guess we can analyze the outfit, because we get to see a lot more of it tomorrow. Friday. Sorry.
Oh, tomorrow. You're as bad as Beth. She's a...
And that's all the notes I've got for this minute, guys. Unless anyone else wants to, throw down anything. Sean, you got any more beefs with the miming that you want to bring up? Or?
No, I think we've appropriately chastised the mimes in this minute. So I'm good.
But so I'm good to go, John, if you are.
Yes, I'm all out of notes. Before we head off into the good dark night, have you got anything you'd like to promote, Sean?
Well, I will mention we touched on it briefly earlier, but in case you missed the first reference, I do a little podcast I call the 5 Minutes of Mime. It's a weekly podcast. It only takes 5 minutes. It's a quick listen, and we talk about mime and mime-related things, and we have a little bit of performance as well. So you get to hear some mime in action, and it's geared towards all level of experience for, hopefully it's up there for, something interesting for the experienced mime fan. But if you're new to mime or you don't know much about it, I hope it's, it should be appropriate for you as well. So I encourage everyone to check it out. And it's only 5 minutes, so we don't ask much of the audience. And you can find that at 5minutesofmime.com.
Oh, sounds very good, actually. I'm going to have to check it out after getting into all the miming in this. I'm definitely going to have to give that a listen. So make sure you all give it a listen as well. And make sure you come back again on Friday, where we'll have minute 48 of Batman. That'll be exciting stuff, because things are about to heat up once again. Ooh, well, the Joker's in town. He's right next to Bruce. What's going to happen? You're going to have to tune in. Tune in on Friday. And make sure to get in touch with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, all of them. Just look up Batminute 89. We'll be the first thing that comes up. And rate, review, subscribe on iTunes. That's the most important thing. And then, yes, that's it for this minute. See you all on Friday.
Next time, pent-up frustration leads to pen-based penetration, as the ace of knaves becomes a crime kingpin through a quick quill kill. Which corpulent cadaver will clueless columnists be left clamoring for? Find out Friday, same Bat Pod.
Different Bat Minute.